Hello students, welcome to the strategic case study analysis for the May-August 2023. So students, this time I have done the analysis in the following order. Now the first video what you are seeing now is the basic overview of the case study. So initially we will just go through the overview of the case, which is very important. And the second one, we are going to go for a detailed SWOT analysis in which we are going to do the external analysis. And then students, we are going to go through the internal analysis as well, so that you will get the understanding of what is happening. And then students, we are going to have the ratio analysis as usual. We generally call it as the financial analysis as well. And finally, students, we are going to go through the stakeholder analysis as well, because these are the understanding that we are going to effectively focus on this time for the May-August 2023 strategic case study. Now, students, if you observe this time, as you already know, this is Daystruk. So this time, fortunately, the industry is easy to understand. So you have to build the confidence, students, because the industry is easy to understand. That is the first thing. Because students, if you observe the previous case studies, like hot air was very tough to understand, but here it is easy to understand and it is effectively focusing on an area called logistics. So logistics, supply chain management, and it's not hard, students, it's very easy as usual. Now, students, if you observe the context statement, now here they are very much giving you the disclaimer that when you're doing the case study examination, please ensure that you are very specific to what they are asking in the examination. Now, students, if you observe, example, now we have something called Chat GPT. Now, students can write Chat GPT only if it is relevant. Now, generally, you are writing the current issues. When it is not relevant, you will not be able to score the enough marks that is expected by the examiner. So, please try to ensure that you are very much specific to the case study in the examination. Now, students, if you observe this, they have the introduction as usual. So this one will be generally a business skill that every student needs to understand, your role, your position, everything. Here, if you observe logistics, now this one, students, page number 3 to page number 11, this is the external industry analysis. I have done a separate video for this. So external industry analysis. So I will go through that in another video in more detail, but understand it very well. This is the industry analysis, and every student should ensure that you are very much aware about that. And students, this is the company information they have given about the Daystruk, the business, what they are doing, how they are operating, everything. And then students, extracts from the annual report where we are going to do the ratio analysis as usual, as I promised you in the classes. And then students, the board of directors, here we are going to learn about the stakeholder analysis for your understanding. And the risk, as usual, you know, in P3, the risk area, they always give you a risk report. But in the examination, you have to modify that risk report based on the current risk that is taking place. And the competitors' financial statements, in this case, I think they have given an organization called CARI. So CARI is the organization they have given in this case. And then students, if I'm not mistaken, the share price history they have given in this case. So we have to go through that. And then students, if I'm observing here the news stories, the current issues they have given, we will go through all that in detail. Now students, as usual, you need to understand Daistruk is a quoted company that offers logistics services. Now, as you know, it's a quoted company, students, F3. There is a subject called F3, which is called as the financial strategy, if I'm not mistaken. Now, in F3, students, if it is a quoted company, you need to be very much aware about WACC. After that, students, merger and acquisition. This can take place, students, if I'm not mistaken. And then, students, if I'm not mistaken, there is an area called business valuation. When there is a merger and acquisition, they will directly ask you to value the organization's price for the selling. And then, students, if I'm not mistaken, there is a very, very important area which is corporate governance, also very, very important area for the students to understand. and apply in the examination. And also, my dear students, one more area that you have to be very much vigilant with is ethics. Because students, if you observe, majority of the students are telling, whenever you're writing the answers, now you can't write it like a mechanical answer. It should be towards the situation and the student needs to explain the rationale behind that. So please make sure you are writing these down so that it will help you to do well in the examination. You are the senior manager of Daystruk's finance function as usual. You directly report to the board and advise on special project on strategic matters. So senior manager. So students, just to give you a small glimpse of the idea, you are here, senior manager, if I'm not mistaken. But generally students in the previous cases, they mentioned senior finance manager. Now students understand it very well. Now you are more intelligent than me. So you already know this very, very well. If you see students, every organization has three levels. And especially I'm giving this to the management level first time pass students. Now you have been promoted from a finance manager to a senior finance manager. Understand it very well. Now students, if you observe in your examination, in the lower level, you are a finance officer. That everyone is very much aware about that. Now students, OCS, the operational case study, as you already know, you are a finance officer, technical knowledge is very important. Theory knowledge is very, very, very important in order to do well in the exam. Now, when you are coming to a finance manager, yes, you need to know the technical knowledge, but with the technical knowledge, you need to know little bit of business also, because business knowledge is very much essential there. But students, if you observe strategic level, yes, I'm not telling you have to ignore the technical knowledge. You have to know the technical knowledge. But students, you have to be very precise that with the technical knowledge, your main point of focus. So I'll write down here, students, main point of focus for whom you have to think first is the shareholders. Understand it very, very well. Whenever there is a business, you have to focus on the shareholders. It is very, very, very important. So I believe students, you have got the basic clarity properly there. So in the strategic level, you have to think very much like a shareholder in the examination to whom you are reporting. Now students, Daystruk is based in Roundland. Please make sure in your examination, your answers are specifically focusing on this organization, a developed country that has an active and a well-regulated stock market. So students, please remember the term active and well-regulated stock market. So I can write down here efficient market hypothesis. There is an area called efficient market hypothesis, students. Please try to make sure you are aware about this area, strong, semi-strong, and weak form market, because it is important. Roundland's currency is R dollars. Roundland requires company to prepare financial statement in accordance with IFRS standards. So that is also very clear for the students at the moment. Now, students, when you are going to the logistic industry, this understanding is critical. Now, students, get the application very, very well, because I have done another video which I will be uploading as well. Now, in this case, students, from supplier, whatever that comes to our warehouse, that is in internal logistics. And from our warehouse, when it goes out, that is known as the outbound logistic. Now, students, you observe a company like DHL. Now, students, if you observe a company called DHL, and then we have something called Federal Express, so many companies are there, right? If I'm not mistaken. So DHL, Federal Express, if you observe, when the goods are produced, now let's assume Apple products are produced from Foxconn, China. So from Foxconn, students, the factory, the name of the factory where Apple is produced is Foxconn. From there, when they are producing and sending to the warehouse of the DHL, that is inbound logistics. And then from that warehouse, it goes to the rest of the world. It doesn't go directly to United States of America, because America will retain only the goods they want, but it will have a centralized supply chain unit. And that is a very, very important point of view for the students to understand. So students, just have an idea of this, because it is very, very important. And then students, they have given about two major industries here. One is the manufacturing industry, that is Malta Motors, and the other one is Mudak Supermarket. Now students, I'm going to circle this Moodok supermarket because actually we are one of their clients actually. They are one of our clients to us. So this is a food industry, if I'm not mistaken. And here it's a manufacturing industry. So the sensitivity of the consignment stocks differ from one industry to another industry, which the student needs to keep in mind as much as possible. I have done the detailed analysis once again in the other videos, but this is the overall view that you have to keep in mind. And then students, if I'm not mistaken, here they have given you the logistics by functions. Now, if you observe students, this is practical, right? 58% of the service in the logistic industry is transport. Transport in simple language is movements. Understand it very well. Movements of goods from one place to another. That is only known as transportation. Very clear, students. And then students, inventory carrying. Inventory carrying, students, is how much you are storing. And the warehouse storage is the organizing. And administration function, students, you are keeping a record of the items that have need to be stored or everything. But remember one thing, students, effectively, this transportation is very high. And inventory carrying is, students, example, the boxes, students, if I'm not mistaken, you have to have boxes. In this, they have mentioned pallets. Pallets, you can just check it in Google, you will understand. You would have seen pallets. It's a wooden type of things which are generally used. So understand it very well. Our domination role is transportation, and these are the correlated services within this sector. And also, students, as I already told you, this is a very large industry, which is 226 billion in our dollars term. It's a huge billion industry, students. Now, students, this is a very important note I have to make sure. The types of logistics service. So it will be very easy for you to understand when you go through the other videos as well. So I'm going to mention here types of logistics service, types of logistics services, types of logistics services to get the understanding very clear and easy for you. Now students, if you observe 1PL, there is one thing called 1PL. This is a technical term, industry based. 1PL means in-house logistics. In-house logistics. That means the main company has their own warehousing system. Now example, students, if you observe Tata in India, they would have their own logistics system. The reason is they have Tata Transport, Tata Airlines. So they need not go for a third party. So the company manages the own logistic, that is only known as in-house logistic, the first one. And the second one, students, 2PL. Now 2PL means, students, what happens is third party, that is a third party company will provide only something called transport service. They will provide only called what, students? Transport service. Understand it clearly, students. They will only provide something called what, students? Transportation service. Now, can you remember in the above pie chart, they were mentioning that the majority of the services that is taken care by this logistic industry is transportation. So if you observe 2PL is like a third party business, those who only provide the transportation services. Now students, if you observe even in your locality, you'd have heard something called, there is a people called shifters. Now when you are changing your houses, there is a business service called shifters. They come to your place, they take the goods and they deliver to the place where you are going. So they are only providing transport services only transport services. Then the next one, students, 3PL. And students, I have to be very transparent. Our company, that is Daystruk, our company also, that is the company which we are working for, is a 3PL service provider. That means, students, they provide us the transport services as usual. Transport services is provided. Nothing to worry regarding that. Transport services is what, students? Provided. But with the transport service, they give one additional service that is known as the storage. That means they can collect the goods from our main manufacturer. They can store it in their own warehouse and they can transport also. So transport services plus storage is also given. They are only known as the 3PL service. In simple language, the storehouse, they call it as the warehousing function also. So students, they are effectively known as the 3PL function, and our company students, Daystruk. Observe it very well students, our company which is Daystruk, we are effectively providing this. So students, can I quickly get a understanding that it is fine for you all? Now students, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to go to the 4PL. Now 4PL at the moment students, in the market where we are operating and in the pre-seen material what they have given, they have not mentioned any company providing this service. They provide the transport, that is general, because 58% is transport. They provide the storage and the warehouse. So storage and the warehouse is also provided by them. Storage and what students? Warehouse. Storage and warehouse is also provided by them. But together with the storage and warehouse, they provide one more additional thing, that is strategy. They give us ideas, they give the company ideas on what the company can do for effective storage management. And students, exam focus, there can be an idea about big data. So I'm writing here students big data, because in our case study, as if you have read this case study, you'd have been aware that our company is already having a very strong IT platform, which is effectively having a lot of big data as well. So students, in my point of view, one exam question that can arise, if you don't mind, you can write it down somewhere students, exam focus. Our company Daystruk, we can effectively cater 4PL service. From 3PL service, we can go to 4PL service. Understand it very well. This can come here. So I'll write down a small note here, students. Exam focus, exam focus. You can write it down if you have a paper with you. That is Daystruk, 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 Daystruk can transform themselves, from 3PL, that is the current operations what we are doing, to what students? 3PL to what students? 4PL, that is going to be the future operations what we are doing. So students, can I quickly get a confirmation that is clear? I believe it is very clear for you at the moment students. So just make sure these are very much understandable. And students, please understand, currently we are doing 3PL services only. And then students, if I'm not mistaken, I just want to give you some idea. Now I told you in the 3PL service students, we are giving something called the warehousing, if I'm not mistaken students. Now there are two types of warehouse. One is called the shared warehouse. That means you can ask your clients, many clients at one location. Many clients at one location, that is shared warehouses. And then students, there is one more element that is called the dedicated. Dedicated means warehouse is owned or it is temporarily belonging to one client only. One client only. Like students, example, sensitive commodities like petrol. Now petrol, diesel, everything students, you can't go for shared client. Petrol, diesel, oil, everything should be dedicated, because students, in case if there is a fire, it will affect the other party's effect also. So remember that very, very, very well. And the storage is also given students. You can just have an idea, because I have already done another video which I will be sharing in this. So you can go through that more in detail for your understanding. Now students, expenditure on transportation. Now if you see students, the transportation mode has been, one is road. As you know, majority will go through the road, if I'm not mistaken. Then the second one is the sea, because students, if I'm not mistaken, the sea cargo is the second dominating, exports and imports. So I'll write down here students, exports and what students? Exports and what students? Imports. Exports and imports can come in this spreads. And the air students, at the moment I'll put a question mark, we don't have. Now, at the moment, we don't have. So we can understand that in the examination, we can slowly partner with someone for an air shipping or something like that. And the other one is railway. So railway, I will put a star for that, because railway is eco-friendly. Because railway, the carbon emission is very less. Because in railway, there is no traffic. And the railway consignments, the capacity is very, very high. And then students, here are the forms. They are transporting cars and vans, rigid trucks, articulated trucks, all these things. You can just have an idea about it. And then the rail industry, they have given students, as I told you, it has more capacity. And the sea also, as I told you, students, like if you see grain, ore, and coal, these are like very, very important resources. So these are effectively coming through the sea. And the air transport students, if I'm not mistaken, perishable items, which are very urgent, fresh fruits, vegetables, all those comes from the air freight. So these are basic ideas of the industry you can have. Anyway, in my industry analysis video, I have done all those things very well in detail. Now, students, intermodal. Intermodal is again one more thing. Now, if you see students, mode means students the form. One can be through sea, it can be through land, or it can be through air. So, intermodal means now, students. Now, example, let's assume grain is coming from the sea. Now, grain will come from the sea to our country. Our country is Roundland. So grain will come from the sea to Roundland. So I'll write down here, grain will come from the sea to Roundland. And then from Roundland, it can go through railway. It can go through railway, right? And from railway, after it reaches the destination, it can go through the road also. Like a truck, it can go through. So this is only known as intermodal transportation. Intermodal transportation. And students, coming to our company, once again, as I told you, I have done a very strong analysis of these in detail, which I will be sharing in the next video. Now, students, if you observe, Daystruk is a very established organization. As I told you, they are in the 3PL business, and they have given about the inventory management, the shared user, outsourced warehouse, share usage, everything, the rail transport, and the specialized load. Now, students, if you see the client, if you observe our business clients, 44% is accounting to food and 33% is general merchandise, and the other one is public and industrial sector. And students, as I told you, the Mudok supermarket, which will be covered more in detail. Now, if you look at Mudok supermarket, that is effectively coming in a range of all three. We provide all the three supplies for them. So that is one important factor to be understanding. And students, one important thing I have to make sure it is very, very clear for you all. The good thing about Daystruk is our IT system. I have to make a small note about this, students. Now, if you see, students, there is something called cloud computing. Now, one of the biggest problem is all our data is backed up in a physical store. Now, there needs to be something called cloud computing, which you need to make sure you are very much aware about that. And students, just remember, there is an opportunity for digital strategy. So I'm going to write down here, students, digital strategy can come mostly in detail. So remember this point of view very, very well in order to score marks in the examination. So students, moving forward, if I'm not mistaken, they have given the mission objectives, which we can go in detail. And also, students, the stakeholder analysis I have done in another video, the profiles, the corporate governance, which you can go through that as well. And the risk, I have done another video also about this. And the ratio analysis also in another video I have done, so that you can go through that in detail as well. And also, students, the external analysis of the beta factors, these factors, all these are done in another video for your understanding. So students, to be positive, just I have to make sure to understand. Now, students, if you are planning to do the examination in the month of May, make sure you are very strong with your technical element. Technical element is, students, I can say the I can statement. There is something called I can statement. The student needs to be very much competent with. So I'll write down here I can statement. And also, students, if I'm not mistaken, and then you have to be very much aware about the pre-seen material as well. And students, from the day one, I have to tell you, now the strategic case study is very much towards problem solving. Now, students, let's assume you are following anywhere. You have to make sure at the end of the day, you provide your own solution. Your own solution. Understand it very well, students. You provide your own solution. Never memorize the answers which is in the mocks. Just focus on the techniques and don't memorize it. So hopefully I will meet you with the other videos. So thank you very much for your time in this, for the overview of this case study. Thanks a lot, students. Let's meet in the other video. Good luck with your exam preparation. Thank you.